right, fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone. We're here to give the daily update on how energy is being restored to the far west. I'm here with Inspector Andy Mensforth, who's our sub in today. Here he is, thank you. We've got Mark Summers from Essential and Sam Pickering from Transgrid, and of course Roy Butler, the member for Barwon. At the moment, all homes and businesses have power. Essential Energy and Transgrid are not planning any outages in the next 48 hours, and people would of course be aware that for the last 3 nights there have been no outages. The main backup generator is operational. I have really good news this morning, which is that Transgrid and the workers have now erected 6 temporary towers of the 7 that need to be done. So 6 are now in place. AGL's battery is now charging each day and discharging to supply customers in the evening peak. That helped last night. There was no load shedding as a result of the solar battery being plugged in, and we welcome that. It will continue to provide that buffer that we might need. But look, I might just say again, we're not out of the woods yet. If people can reduce their usage after 5:30, I know Mark would be very happy, and the rest of us would also be. It really is important. If it's going to be warm at night, if you can turn off the appliances that you're not using, if you can turn off the lights, if you can dial up your air conditioning a little bit, all of that helps, and all of that just means that we don't have any load shedding at all, even with the solar battery and even with the backup generators that are now in place. Essential Energy's 4 portable generators are still working really well for the communities outside of Broken Hill, Wilcannia, Menindee, Whitecliffs, Tibooburra and Silverton, Milparinka and Packsaddle. Roy and I visited all of those communities over the weekend and today. They've got feedback. We'll deal with that another day, but the important point is that the energy's been on for them. That's working well, and they're very grateful that that's all back on and relieved. Transgrid has... That's your guys, Andy.
Thanks, ma'am.
Transgrid has the backup banks of portable generators. Work is still on track for the 6th of November and the replacement of that. I do want to start telling people that there will, when they re-energise the line, there will be an outage. We're obviously working closely with Transgrid and everyone so that we can give people as much notice for people to understand how that's going to work. That'll be coming in coming days as the workers, as I said, do the work they've got. Got 1 more tower to go, but then they've got to string the lines, and obviously it needs to be re-energised. All schools are open today. All the kids are back at school. I did want to run you through the support that's coming in and being rolled out across the region. The 1,000 food hampers have been delivered. There's 700 in Broken Hill at the Unity Church hangar. There's 100 in Menindee, and Coombs Transport are doing those. 200 in Wilcannia, and Central Darling Shower Council Shed is dealing with that. We're also looking to deliver in smaller communities, and we're working with some of the local Aboriginal land councils in relation to that. So that has begun. In relation to food and fuel vouchers, they're going to be distributed this week. There's $1,100 $100 food vouchers, $1,050 fuel vouchers. Obviously, if there's more demand, and we're working through that, so that's not the limit, that's the start. We're also looking at options in relation for pharmacies, for pharmacists to replace medicine. We know some people lost important medication, and we're working through that issue as well. Vinnies is going to be working with people who need the grocery and fuel vouchers. People experiencing hardship, we obviously have got the recovery assistant points or the outreach points where you can come and talk to the Recovery Authority staff and to Vinnies. They're all coming through. We're also continuing to talk to the federal government. We have approached them and are talking to them about additional support for people. We're working through the issues when it comes to people who've lost appliances and being able to sort those issues out as well. All of the federal disaster relief options are on the table. We continue to speak to the federal government. I know the Premier's written to the federal government. I'll hope to have some more news about that as soon as we can report it. And just a reminder in terms of the reconstruction assistance points, which are opening this week. This is the one-stop shop for people. If you've got any issues, they're there to help. They can direct you to the assistance that you need to help get back up on your feet and deal with any of the issues that you're experiencing. There's people from Service New South Wales, the Reconstruction Authority, support with legal aid, Vinnie's, Red Cross and the Insurance Council. The location in Broken Hill is 254 Blend Street, known as the Broken Hill Aged Person Centre Walk-In Clinic. I am aware it's called other things, but the main address is the 254 Blend Street, Broken Hill. The Recovery Authority will also visit Menindee, Wilcannia, White Cliffs and Tibooburra tomorrow and Wednesday. They'll be in Menindee from Tuesday from 10 till 3 at the Menindee Civic Hall. They'll be in Wilcannia from Tuesday 11 till 3 at the Wilcannia Community Hall. They'll be in White Cliffs Wednesday 10 till 1:30 at the White Cliffs Sporting Club. And they'll be in Tibooburra Wednesday 11 till 2 at Albert Hall. We are talking about getting them out to other communities. We were at Silverton this morning. We haven't locked that in yet, obviously keen to provide support there. At the moment, I think that's probably the most of the update. The point I did, again, just say a couple of things. One is thank you again to all of the workers at Essential and at Transgrid. There's a lot of workers there. And they're working around the clock to get this fixed. I think the progress that we've seen is really pleasing, and again, a big shout out to them, and we're really pleased with how that's going. I just want to do a quick thank you to the many public servants who are working with me and others to try and work through the issues that have emerged. I think that that's important. But look, we're not out of the woods yet. My main message is at 5:30 tonight, turn off the things that you don't need, and that will mean that things are working well as we prepare for the re-energisation of the whole network and connecting everyone back into the grid. But at this point, I think I'm going to hand over to Inspector Mensforth.
Thanks, Minister. Good afternoon, all. Just first, I'd like to let you know that New South Wales Police here within Broken Hill and the Central Darling Shire were all able to respond to emergencies. That hasn't changed right across the area. It's still normal and operating. I'd like to thank all the organisations that we are working with, both government and non-government, in providing services right across the whole area. And lastly, just that 000 is operating as normal. Please call us, use it. The services will come there and help out. Thank you.
Thanks. Mike, we go next.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, a big thanks to all of our customers for their cooperation, particularly during that evening peak and continuing to reduce their load. As the Minister said last night, we did come quite close to the 14 megawatt limit on the generator, so we are getting up there with that evening load. It was obviously quite a warm day yesterday too, so there would have been lots of air conditioning running in homes. So if you could still maintain that vigilance around that peak period from 5 o'clock in the afternoon through till 10 o'clock at night, be much appreciated from all of our teams, and make sure that we keep the lights on in Broken Hill and those surrounding rural communities. And again, just a big thanks to all of our teams that have come in to support. Obviously, at Essential Energy, we have a lot of crews in the background that do a lot of work, from our communications teams to our management teams, and especially our engineering teams to make sure that our teams on the ground have actually got that support, particularly from an engineering perspective, and the generators that are operating in Pinnacle's Place at the moment. Essential will have this week, we'll have additional crews that are coming in from across Essential's footprint right across the state. So we've already had crews here from Dubbo and Narromine, Albury, Nyngan, Cobar, and lots of other different surrounding depots where staff come in to support. So just want a big shout out for all those, the whole team that are on the ground and the good work they've been doing. So, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to the Broken Hill and surrounding community for their continued support and patience. Over the last 24 hours, our emergency response crews were able to erect 4 emergency transmission towers along the 3.5 kilometre impacted section. There is now a total of 6 high voltage transmission towers in place, with our crews working to erect the 7th and final tower today. This is significant progress, and I want to thank our team who have mobilised from across Australia and who continue to put in an enormous effort to reinstate the main power supply to Broken Hill. While this is good progress, there does remain more work to be completed. After that last tower is secured in place, our specialist string crews will begin preparing to lift the first of 3 conductors onto the transmission towers. This will be completed in stages, with 3 high voltage conductors to be sequentially lifted and secured into place. Following this, testing will begin at both ends of the 250 kilometre high voltage power line before the primary power supply can be switched on. With the solid progress made over the weekend, we are continuing to concurrently review the scheduling of energisation of the primary power supply, with potential to complete ahead of the current date of November 6. We'll continue to keep the community of Broken Hill informed of our progress. In other good news, the grid-scale battery began dispatching power last night during the peak period. As load on the generator increased to safe operating limits last night, the Transgrid control room discharged the grid-scale battery into the local network, helping to ensure a stable flow of power to the community. This is a positive step in building further resilience into the network. This is also the first microgrid operating within the national electricity market. The gas generator, which is still the main source of energy for Broken Hill, is also running well, backed up now by that grid-scale battery. To each and every one of our team and those supporting the broader response, I would like to reiterate my sincere thanks. Everyone is doing an incredible job in a tough and complex environment. I want to finish today's briefing by also noting the high-risk nature of the work we are completing. This is an emergency construction effort with our workers performing very challenging tasks. We ask that our team is able to continue working without any distraction so that the primary power supply can return as quickly and safely as possible. We ask that all interested parties respect the strict exclusion zones, which are there for your safety and to allow our team members to continue with this critical work. Thank you.
Thanks, Minister, and thanks, everyone. I suppose we'll start with the positive news. Really positive news on the speed at which those towers are going up. Obviously, there's still some work to do. The ETA for restoration hasn't changed at this point, but I'm hopeful we can do something a bit quicker, but that'll depend on the weather and a few other things. Also good news in terms of generation. We're reaching a point of portable generation now, not only in the town, but outside the centre of the town, where if that turbine was to fail, we will still have enough power to power the lights in homes and businesses, and that's a really nice security blanket to have. Very important that it happens. I suppose one thing, this is not so positive, is I really want to know where the federal government is on this. This is a crisis. We've had the Premier out here. We've had him travel to Broken Hill, Wilcannia. Over the weekend, Minister Sharpe and I have been to every community bar Silverton. We got to Silverton today. I have not seen a member of the federal government out here, and certainly in terms of the assistance, I don't think they understand the urgency and the cost and the anxiety that's been going on in this community. I'd really like to see them move a bit faster. Thank you.
Okay. Happy to take any questions.
First off from me, we understand, speaking to a number of the mines, which I believe you have already spoken about recently, the losses, they're believed to be much more substantial than what was first thought. Have you heard similar feedback?
Look, we have. I'm meeting with the mines tomorrow to go through those issues. I know that the Premier has been in ongoing contact. We know how significant this issue is. I don't have resolution for the mine workers that are stood down and furloughed at the moment, but we do know that it's a significant issue we're working through, and I look forward to catching up with them tomorrow. I also just want to really thank them. They've actually been helping with the generator by providing load that has helped stabilise the grid altogether. Really, it's been a huge effort from the mines in town, and everyone is very grateful. They've really made a very difficult situation a little bit better through their efforts.
Just in terms of that compensation, I know you said it's still quite early on, but what are your thoughts on the feasibility of some sort of compensation package, whether that's just from government, whether it's in partnership with Transgrid and government? What are your thoughts on that feasibility?
Look, I mean, the Premier's been here. I've been here for a few days and will continue to be here. We hear the message really loud and clear. We're working through what the other options are. I don't have an announcement today, but look, just be clear, it's the start, not the end.
Oh, okay, one more. So we understand that IPART is also in town this week to conduct its inquiry into the situation. Will you be a part of that process while they are in town, or do you plan on being a part of it later on?
Well, they're preparing the report for me as the Minister in relation to the breaches, so no, I'm not planning on being a part of it, but I really do want the community of the Far West to be part of that. People need to explain what IPART's there to understand what went wrong, but also to understand the impact of what's happened. This is more than just the lights going out for a little while. This is businesses that have lost stock. This is people whose appliances have blown up. There are some really significant issues, concerns around, telecommunications. I know that's not the IPART part of it, but we need to know all of those stories. What's the impact been? What's it meant to the community? That's what we're working through. And so, look, I look forward to that. It's an independent report. I don't think I should be meddling with it, but I really am encouraging everyone who wants to be part of it to come and tell their stories so that we can understand the impact and work through the issues to prevent it from happening again.
I've got some too, but I'll go after you.
Yeah, sure. Are there discussions happening at Transgrid about what needs to be done here in Broken Hill to restore some of that social licence that's been lost?
Yeah, we've contributed to relief packages to date, and we continue to work with local government on that, and we'll continue to explore those options. First and foremost for me, and my primary reason for being here, is to support and lead the response to this and to reinstate that primary power supply, and that's what our focus is on.
I take your point about contributing to the relief packages, but as I understand that that's been relatively small in comparison to the latest revenue statements we have from Transgrid, or just shy of $950 million in revenue in financial year 2022. Is there a piece of work here to be done by Transgrid in terms of reparations for the citizens of Broken Hill and those communities that have lost so much?
Yeah, I'll reiterate that we will continue to work with local government on that and provide further updates as they become available.
Is Transgrid alive to the possibility of a legal challenge at all to that responsibility to provide power to some of these businesses?
My purpose for being here is to lead that response, and that's my focus. I'll leave those questions for the due course in which they'll become available.
You talked about that ETA still remaining November 6th with the possibility of being moved forward if things continue to go well. Once those temporary towers are actually in place, how long can the community expect it to be temporary as opposed to permanent?
Yeah, there's emergency response structures. As I said, the 7th one is going up today. There's a little bit more work to do following the erection. I'll explain that before in terms of the stringing and the energisation that needs to follow. That is our immediate priority, and the longer term response will be worked through, and we'll continue to provide an update.
Do you anticipate that being fairly shortly after, or do you think later in the year in terms of those proper repairs?
Yeah, again, that detail will be worked through. We're here to focus solely on getting the primary power supply back, and that's what we're here to do.
Do you anticipate any sort of full audit of the transmission towers in their current state, what they were like before this disaster happened?
I acknowledge that, as has been explained, that IPART is here and there is an inquiry underway which we are fully cooperating with. The detail of that will come out, and I won't pre-run that.
Okay. And there have been a number of accusations levelled at Transgrid around the maintenance of the network and generators, including that the power towers were already in poor condition before the storm. What do you say to that accusation?
Again, I think those issues will be explored through that IPART inquiry, and I'll let that play out. And I think it's important that plays out so the facts can come to light and that accurate information can become available.
And similar to what we asked the Minister earlier, in terms of a compensation package, do you think that Transgrid accepts any sort of involvement in that?
Yeah, I'll reiterate, we are working with the local government, and we'll continue to do so in terms of that.
And what the local member said before about the federal government being involved, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not here to comment on that. I am here to focus on the response, and that's what I'm doing.
Is that it? Great. Thanks, everyone.